Okay, so I'm just going to walk through kind of just some tips, some tricks around creating kind of a compelling pitch video for demo day. Like there are no hard and fast rules on this other than the timing, but this is just kind of some helpful tips that I think will be valuable to you guys as you're starting to prepare, what might go into your video. So just as a reminder, demo day is July 22nd. And the first part of that day will be us kind of looping all of your videos together and showing it for the audience. So how do you make a kind of a good video great? That's always the tough part. And I know for some of you here, maybe video is not probably going to be your maybe your strong suit, but don't worry, this can be everything from just a PowerPoint presentation to a full production video. And we had kind of both examples of both last year, which I'll show you guys afterward. But you don't need to kind of be scared of this. It can be whatever resources you have available to you, or whatever time resources you have available. We definitely understand that some people have a little bit more bandwidth than others right now. So don't feel like you're crazy under pressure here, okay? So obviously we want you to do this because, we all know that video, especially a pitch video, very powerful way to tell your story. And this isn't just something that you can use for Leap Junction. This is something that, would hopefully go together to be used for promotion of your business. Your video can show your idea in action, gives you a chance to speak directly to a larger audience and hopefully inspire them through, maybe a mix of music, maybe a mix of movement, and hopefully a bit of human connection. And I know that this can be scary or intimidating to think about making a video, but know that all great videos have kind of the same basic elements. And once you understand kind of those elements, you should be able to, produce something that you should be proud of. So these are just kind of 7 helpful tips to make a decent pitch video. The first one we're talking about is hooking the viewer. That's the key. That's if you're going to only do one thing, at least do this. Because viewer attention is very limited. In this scenario, they're coming to see you. So you do have their attention, but we want this to live beyond us, right? But we got to know that we don't have all the time in the world to do this. So, we don't have time for a slow start. Within the first 30 seconds, you got to make sure that you grab their attention, introduce your product and service very clearly, and show these individuals who are going to be watching you how you are going to provide a benefit to them or to your customer segment. Just assume the audience is a group of potential customers, okay, at this point. So my favorite way to kind of approach this is a straightforward appeal that gets kind of right to the point, or you try to just tell a story that puts the audience in your shoes or the shoes of the customer. So as an example, Micro Drone 3.0, this is just one I grabbed from the internet. You can go and see there from Indiegogo. I don't know if you guys, Indiegogo is kind of like Kickstarter, but for kind of more earlier stage. So you just need to use that value proposition that you've been working on. Make sure you have that concise statement worked in there at some point or another. Okay, so Micro Drone is a small, maneuverable, and customizable drone that streams HD footage to your phone. Straight to the point, right? You want to be able to hit them with that value proposition at some point during your presentation, hopefully early. Now, one thing that I find gets turned into a bad mistake when I've seen lots of pitch videos over the years is you make the assumption that people kind of just know what you're about. They already know what your product or service is and what you're all about. And I find that assumption leads to key things getting left out. So make sure at least you cover the 6 W's: who you are, what you offer, what your value or competitive advantage is, or both if you have time, where you offer it or where you are going to offer it, why should I care, and when will it be available if it isn't ready yet. Okay, so for some of you who haven't launched yet, when can I look forward to seeing this or being part of this? Okay. Tip number 2, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Okay, and this goes beyond just because we only have so much time to do demo day. This is also key for video as well, and I'm sure Tracy can back me up on this. And all of you who do understand, video and social, people have short attention spans. Typically, the greatest engagement happens between about 2 to 2.5 minutes when we're talking about like a company video. But we're willing to give you up to 3.5 minutes maximum, because I know that trying to crush it all down when it's your first go can be a little bit difficult. Now, some people last year took some liberties with us, and we ask that you submit these videos a week ahead so that we can, review, and if there's any changes to be made, we can make some changes. But last year we had a couple that came in about 5.5 minutes. Please don't do that to us, because obviously we're under time constraints. So try to keep it to 3.5 minutes max. If you go over, you won't be, we won't be mad, but like, don't go more than 4 or I will be mad. I'm just going to put that out there, because we're asking people to volunteer their time and come and see. We want to give everybody an equal amount of time. So your company is not any better than any other company here. So just be mindful of that. And also, the shorter your video, the more likely people are, going to stay engaged till the end of it. So if you're going to have a novel here of a video, you might lose people at that point. So keep it short and sweet so people can enjoy all the hard work you've put into this. Number 3, focus on the benefits and then support with features. So we talk about, the difference between features and benefits. Features, the technical parts of your product and service. Those benefits are, how we make our lives better in some way, shape, or form. So if I'm GoPro, GoPro lets us capture awesome memories, right? That's what our main benefit is. If I'm Fitbit, it helps you to stay in shape, right? That's a benefit. So always focus on your benefits of what your offering is first, then back it up and show the audience features. Explain how those features support the benefits. Okay. Tip number 4, be real, be personal. Okay, so backers, target customers, they get excited about a product when they connect with the people behind it. So keep it real. Make sure to include a personal connection, because it can be deeply rewarding for you and the contributors who, there's gonna be people in this audience who might, help you get to that next partnership, help you get to that next resource that you need. So if you can make a connection with them, they're more likely to engage with you. It also shows them that they can trust you and to deliver on what you're offering. And that's a key thing here, right? So if you can develop personal connection, you build trust, you build loyalty over time. So take the opportunity here to figure out how you're going to include a personal element in it. So things you can do: speak directly to the camera at some point. Make sure to be completely honest. So don't misrepresent yourself or your company or your product. We're not looking for you guys to, have a market valuation of $1 billion or something ridiculous like that. Just be honest here. Okay. So and then find ways to show your passion. If you believe in what you're doing, let it shine through, and that will help others believe in it as well. Okay. Number 5, make sure we can hear you. Good audio is key here. So recording your video or your audio, make sure you're doing it in a quiet space. Try to eliminate any white noise, any static, any fans. Sometimes AC can be a really big distractor as well. So if anything is at all unclear, consider subtitles. We'll be putting these videos up on like a private channel on YouTube, and then sharing it into the presentation. So the reason we do that is so that we can have closed captioning on if we need it. So that's always a bonus there. So you don't need to create a transcript by any means, but just do your best to have decent audio. And if you want to get lapel mics and things like that, you can always grab them from the Fanshawe Media Services. Show rather than tell. So this one is about using concrete examples, like photos, video clips of your work, testimonials, any way that you can, back up kind of what you're doing and what you're offering. I'm sure all of you at this point have some kind of visual elements and examples that you can include. So you don't want to just face the camera and explain your company. Make sure, your video has a visual showcase of what you're all about too. Okay. And then number 7, make sure to end with some type of clear call to action. Remember, we assume this audience are potential customers, maybe potential funders. So what do you want them to do after this? They've listened to you. What do you want from them? We need a call to action, a direct statement that asks them to do something. So if you want them to fund your idea, you want them to go to your website, do you want them to follow you on social media? Do you want them to help spread the word? What do you want them to do? You figure it out. You know, this isn't like a typical pitch competition where you're asking for money. That's not how we're framing it. You guys get to decide what you're asking for. Okay, you could just be, I just want to thank you for even just listening to me, you know, but I do suggest you try to send them somewhere. Okay. Also, you know, every video should help a potential customer or backer answer these other very basic questions. So these are just things to kind of think about as well as you're going through this. After you've gone through and shaped the story of what you're going to tell there, is it clear what your product or service is? Is it clear of how it makes your customer's life better? If it's something more complex, does it show how I'm going to use it? Are you building trust with me? Do you think based on what you've said, I will want it? And have you told me that you're going to deliver? So that's a key one as well. So that whole will you deliver, that's the trust builder. Okay. So these questions might seem simple, but answering them clearly can actually be kind of challenging. You know, most businesses are actually more complex, right? So, you know, because you know your business really well, you likely know your business kind of inside and out, right? Sometimes we don't dumb down enough. So just use these as kind of a way to kind of dumb things down and make sure it's very clear. So try to see the video through the eyes of someone who knows nothing about what you do. Okay. You don't need to explain every last little detail. You just need to answer the questions like these, you know, in the clearest, most engaging way possible. Okay. So I'm going to take the next 10 minutes and show you guys a couple examples. So the first one is from, oh, looks like Brittany popped out. So this is kind of a video, if you had a bit of budget, if you had more time. I'm not expecting a video of this production value. So I'm going to just show you one video. This is from Indiegogo, and I'm on there like almost every day. I've invested in a lot of products on there because I just find this stuff super fascinating. But I really like this video. This is kind of your standard pitch campaign video, just kind of showing you what it's all about. And then, as I said, don't get scared because I'm showing you this one. I'm going to show you some of our examples from last year right after this too.
Imagine if you didn't have to get your phone out for every little thing. What if there was a simpler way to interact with your devices? Flick is a wireless button that connects to your iOS or Android device. So instead of going through your phone, you simply press the button. That's better. I use the Flick app to set it up, and then I can stick Flick wherever I want. I can even share this Flick with my roommate, so he can use it when I'm not around. But Flick isn't just for your house. You can stick your Flicks anywhere, like in your car or on your bike.
Head straight.
It's really cool.
Your destination is on the left.
And you can clip your Flicks. It's great for any situation where you need a quick and discreet shortcut.
Me, hey.
Like now.
Me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I have to take this. But Flick can be so much more than just a shortcut to your phone. It can be integrated with lots of different services beyond your devices. Check this one out. Take me home, Cabby. And when I get home, I want everything to just take care of itself. Shh, movie's starting. Another great feature of Flick is that it can be used as a safety device. With just a push of a button, you can send live updates of your location or even a distress signal to your family and friends.
Cut! It's a wrap!
All right, good job.
Finally.
Good job, man.
Anyone wants pizza?
Yeah. Nice. That
Hey,
was a good button.
hang on guys, let me grab a quick selfie first.
Sure. All right, yeah.
Me and the Flick team.
Let's go chin a bit.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Flick!
Hi, we're a Swedish team that has been working for almost 2 years to create Flick, and we're really excited to finally show it to you. We've gone through a hardware incubator in San Francisco, we traveled all across Europe and China to finalize the design and to find the right partners.
We have developed the Flick app to be super simple to set up. Just open your app, press the button, and select the function that you need. We also have an easy software development kit that allows other apps to work with Flick. We already have some amazing apps that will work with Flick already from the start.
And now we need your help to make this all happen. In order to bring Flick to the market and into your hands, we need to fund the tooling and certifications that are needed. In return for your contribution, we'll send you the very first Flicks ever made. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video.
So that was only 3.5 minutes long, guys, just to give you an idea. So they captured a lot in there, right? Really well done video. So now I'm gonna just show you, so you guys met Suraj last week, right? From Taxably. So this is the video that he did last year.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Swaraj Paul. I am a recent graduate at Fanshawe College, and I'm the co-founder at Taxably. Have you ever felt that taxes are hard, time-taking, and expensive? Well, you're not the only one. I felt the same way when I first moved to Canada as an international student. It was difficult for me to understand the taxation policies in this country, which was foreign to me back then. Not to mention the difficult accounting terms, which made it even more confusing. At that time, I was working at an accounting firm where I saw the clients waiting in lines for hours just to drop off a few documents. And they would come back the next day, repeat the process to pick up those documents. At the same time, they were being charged a premium price for a return that was pretty simple. According to CTV News, the most costliest tax mistake made by Canadians are related to missed deductions and the lack of understanding about if they need to file or not. It's especially important for students to file their returns in order to build credit with the CRA. Many students, they don't file because they don't have any income. But once they graduate and start earning, they don't have any credit built with the CRA. These gaps in the tax preparation industry motivated me and my partner Akash to co-found Taxably to meet the demands for a simple yet cost and time effective solution through our user-friendly online platform. Taxably is a tech-based accounting firm with a paperless approach. Our mission is to introduce innovative ways to make taxes easier, faster, and affordable for people through technology and best-in-class customer service. Through our platform, you'll be able to submit your tax information easily through a reliable and secure way, and let our tax experts do the heavy lifting for you so that you can keep doing you. We have also found that accountants and the tax preparation industry waste an unbelievable amount of paper each year. Of that, more than 25% is either never used or thrown away. To directly combat with the amount of paper being wasted by the accounting industry, we not only focused on being paperless, but also pledged to plant a tree for every client that avails our services. At this time, I'd like to thank all of you for listening to our presentation. We are looking to make connections in this community and build relationships with people, and also do our part in benefiting the Forest City. If you have any questions about our company, I would be happy to answer them in our breakout rooms. Thank you all very much. I hope you guys have an amazing day.
Okay, I think we have time for one more before Liz comes to us. I think we have. So Kristen took a little bit of a different approach. So obviously Suraj kind of did the, stand in front of the camera, totally fine. And Kristen's business is all outdoors. So she wanted to make sure that her video kind of spoke to that as well.
There was a time in my life where I felt exhausted and broken. I had a marriage on the rocks, a job I despised, and I didn't know where I was going. There were some mornings that I couldn't even get out of bed, but I'm one of the lucky ones. 7 years ago, I woke up to a voice. I don't know if it was my inner psyche, a dream, I don't know. All I know is that it screamed, run. So I rolled out of bed, threw on my shoes, and ran out the door. And I never looked back. My entire mindset changed the moment I set foot on pavement. I became kinder, quicker, smarter, and more positive. I finally found the courage to let go of what I couldn't change, and I no longer felt like I lived in a world that worked against me. Running has given me the self-confidence I once lacked and has led me to the people and connections I never imagined. Because of this, it is my life goal to pay it forward. My name is Kristen, and I am the creator of Soul Runners. Soul Runners is a running group that promotes confidence both on the road and off the road.
I like to run because it clears my head.
Because it lets me push myself farther than I would have before. Because it allows me to meet new people and to run and stay healthy.
It's the way it makes me feel. I love the endorphins I get from running.
We teach running programs that are all inclusive. We accept all ages, all sizes, all fitness levels, anybody.
You did a 5K today. Woohoo!
It is estimated that by the end of this year, 1 in every 5 people will suffer from depression, anxiety, or self-esteem issues. Not only that, but 60% of Canadians will be diagnosed as overweight or obese. These stats were taken even before the COVID-19 pandemic even started, and instead of getting better, the numbers are only getting worse. As someone who has overcome her own battles in a normal world, I can only imagine what it must feel like to want to persevere through these challenging times. Maybe you're too scared to go back to the gym or so completely turned off by the virus that you don't even want to consider renewing that membership. You know deep down how important it is to try to stay healthy, especially during these times. Guess what? You deserve to live a healthy and happy life, and that starts with you. And it doesn't matter what the circumstances are. We can help you. Soul Runners creates programs that connect people with nature, enabling them to work out in a fun, safe environment. Every single Soul Runner has a purpose, and every single Soul Runner has a goal. And because not every single person is the same, we cater our training programs to individual abilities, needs, and skills. People think that running is typically a sport that is meant to be played alone. However, in our groups, no runner runs alone, and no runner is left behind.
Come on, let's go, rain or shine.
Our one-on-one or group training sessions connect you to people who will inspire you to look good, feel great, and be better, all while staying safe.
Okay.
So get up, get outside, and come experience what it feels like to run with a little bit of soul.
I can't thank you enough for taking the time to listen today. If you'd like to connect, please feel free to reach us through our website at soulrunners.ca or through any of our social media channels. Thanks again, and stay happy and healthy.
All right. So I'm going to share with you guys the rest of the videos from last year because there's quite a few more. So you can see some other examples, but those were just a couple of them just to kind of give you an idea. Now, Kristen, she worked with a friend who helped her put that video together and held the camera, and I think she borrowed the camera from Fanshawe Media Services. A couple of our other teams, you'll see Nitro Route, they ended up hiring someone from Fiverr and put an animated video together. And then they went out with their cell phone and they were doing optimized routes for delivery drivers, very COVID-esque business. So they just went and he had a buddy who was like a UPS driver or a FedEx driver and asked if he could just film in the back of his truck really quickly. It took him 3 minutes. And then the rest, they spent $200 and got a video done. And they put that video on their website. Obviously, that's mainly what it was for. I don't expect you guys to go out and spend money to make this for us, but if it is going to be something you're going to use, maybe consider putting some of that $5,000 to good use to create a visual component to your promotions. If anyone has questions about the presentation beyond this, I will stick around after today to allow you to ask some questions. But I do want to also add a secondary element to this. So we've gotten a lot of questions about the business plan competition. And I know that with that coming and with this coming, it's a lot of work to be done. We have decided to make a slight change because the video is going to need to be delivered the same day as the business plan competition in order for us to have at least a week to do any tweaks or any help. But there's been a few have asked questions about it. And I know with with kind of everything that's been going on, there's been a little extra stress and strain, I think, on everyone. So we are going to change the business plan competition. So we're going to eliminate the competition element. What we're hoping now, so Kelsey is putting a document together, is to just kind of do an overview. It'll still include your business plan. You'll still have to submit it, but we aren't looking for, you know, a complete overview, comprehensive presentation on it. So you'll have to submit the plan still, but the presentation can be more of an update as to like what's been going on over the last, like since when you pitched us during your interview to now. What has changed? What is different? And we are going to ask for details just on your finances and on your marketing plan. So we want to get into it a little bit, but you're not going to be judged on it, and it will not be a competition in that element. Now, if you have comments, questions, concerns about that, please stick around after, and I'm happy to chat with you one-on-one in a private breakout room around that. Does anyone have any questions about either of those things with the group? At the moment? No, we're okay. Is everybody excited to learn about Google Analytics and search engine marketing? Yeah. I know they're not the most glamorous topics, but I think you guys are going to learn a lot today. And I'm excited because Liz is out of the Lawrence Kinlan School of Business, I'd say she's probably the most engaging speaker. So that's a lot to be said. So here we go. Let's bring her in. I think she's coming. Hi, Liz.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Hi, Dave.
Hello, hello. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. It's great to see you.
Likewise. Hi, everyone.
This is everybody. Everybody give Liz a nice Leap Junction wave hello.
Hello, everyone.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, yes, thank you for joining us, Liz. We're excited, as always, for your annual presentation with us. We have a really good group here today. And actually, I think everybody is here. So that's good. Not everybody has been here every day. So, and they've known to grab some coffee and get ready because we always know your presentation is really comprehensive. So I just wanted to ask you before we get started, do you need breakout rooms? Do you need any other extra controls or anything like that? Anything you need from us as your facilitation team?
No, I don't think so. No, I just
okay
put the link to this deck in the chat, and
awesome.
That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Liz. Well, appreciate that. Okay, so well, I don't want to mess around and waste any time here. So I'm just going to do kind of your, little introduction here, if that's okay. So I know I told you guys about Liz last week, but for those who don't know, she is, of course, a fellow Fanshawe staff member. She's faculty member on the Lawrence Kinlan School of Business, and she's been there for 15 years and has created and teaches courses on search engine marketing as well as Google Analytics. She's also been a freelance consultant in the SEM and SEO field and has worked with companies that include Page Zero Media, Atmos Marketing, Sundance Media, and Interact Direct. Now, Liz is Google AdWords and Analytics certified. She's been a member with the Search Engine Marketing Professional Organization Certification Board and the Board of Directors of the London Small Business Center. She's a graduate of the Ivey School of Business at Western and has a master's of digital experience and innovation at the University of Waterloo. And just like today, she speaks a lot around SEM and web analytics, and we are very, very happy to have her join us today and share her knowledge with all of us. So with that, Liz, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Great. Well, it's great to be here today, everyone. I'm really excited to speak to you. Dave, have the students have their SEO basics session yet?
We've talked about it just a little bit. So Jennifer Dittmer covered some of it in her session. We talked a little bit about it with Craig Flynn, but we haven't gone over any crazy details yet.
Okay, all right. So today is all about, we're going to split today's session in two. So we'll talk for about 45 minutes about each subject, but I'll try to keep my eye on the chat. Dave, will you be here? Yeah. So I only have one screen with me today. So it's, if I miss the chat, Dave, will you let me know? Or just turn your mic on and jump in. It will be very informal. We're going to start today's session by talking about search engine marketing and what it means for small business owners and how you can use the tool to drive a positive return on investment and qualified traffic and leads and conversions to your website. And then we'll flip over to talk about tracking online, and we'll talk about web analytics and why today it's really imperative to have a good web analytics system set up on your website. So I'm profiling some of your websites. Dave sent me, for those of you that have sites that are live already, he sent me the domains. So I'll be profiling a few of them today, but even if I'm not talking about your business, feel free to jump in and ask specific questions and so forth. I'll just invite everybody right now on the topic of search marketing, or frankly, SEO, if you like to, and web analytics. Are there any burning questions? You can either turn your mics on and ask me now or pop them into chat. I just want to make sure that I'm on the right track in terms of thinking of the things that we're going to talk about today. Did anyone have it? Do you have any questions right now? No, wide open? Okay, perfect. All right. Well, you might think of things as we go. All right, Dave, so I'm just going to share my screen. There we go. All right. Rachel, can you give me a thumbs up that you see a blue deck in front of you? Awesome. Okay. I'm going to try to see more of you in the screen. Just let me get this set up here because I like to see your faces. Okay, so Dave, I'll let you monitor chat, okay? Because otherwise I'm not going to be able to see my screen.
No problem.
Okay, awesome. So today we are talking about, we're going to start to talk about search marketing. And so what you see in front of you is something that we call the SERP. And I know you've seen it a bajillion times before. We're going to talk about certain elements of the SERP, which is the search engine results page. We're going to primarily focus today on the Google platform and their advertising platform called Google Ads, because as you know, in Canada, they occupy a large majority of searches that transpire every day, billions and billions of searches. I think in Canada, we sit at about 92% share of search on Google, the remainder going to other search engines. And so we always like to talk about Google to start. So what you're seeing here is a query. There's one of you in the crowd runs a lawn care service in North London. That's Josh. Awesome. We'll be talking about your website today. Great. So I've got some Toronto nomenclature in here, but London's the same thing. So I want to start by talking about why search marketing in 2021. Why are we talking about Google advertising? And I'll prove my point with a series of screenshots from the search results page that will help you to understand why it's really critical to be thinking about search marketing if you want visibility online when people are looking for you. So take this search query, lawn care Toronto, and take a look just briefly at the organic snippets that you see here. And so whenever you see a listing like this that is not preceded by a little word, the little ad word, then you know it's a natural or organic listing. And these organizations are not paying to be there. SEO is not free. It takes a lot of resources, manpower, and monetary resources, but you don't pay for clicks in that area. So we see that Home Turf is ranking #1, then Lawn Savers, Frechette, etc. Now I'm going to flip to my next screen where I changed my search nomenclature just slightly to Lawn Care Services Toronto. And you can see that we have some familiar guys. Home Turf and Lawn Savers retain #1 and 2 position, but Nutrilon has snuck into position #3, pushing Frechette down to number 4, and Homestars has snuck into it. Yardley is still there. So you can see with just a slight change in nomenclature at the top, the search results page changes, because Google's PageRank algorithm, the mathematical computation that determines where your site will rank organically, is run every time somebody executes a search in Google. So the advertising auction and the PageRank algorithm on the organic side is constantly running anew and deciding which of the websites in the Google index warrant being ranked for the individual keyword that has just been searched. Let's change that now to Best Lawn Care Services Toronto. And all of a sudden we see Lawn Savers has jumped up to number 1. So do you remember Home Turf? They are all the way down now in position number 6. They used to be in number 1. Down to number 6, Lawn Savers jumps to number 1, and Yelp has snuck in here as number 2. Homestars has also gained some rank here, and Yelp and Homestars are business review listing type websites, as you know, and so perhaps that the addition of the qualifying word best is what made those websites more appealing to the algorithm. And then we have another site here that's new to the SERP. Change that again, flipping over from lawn care services to lawn maintenance, and we see yet again a complete change in the search results page, and we see some answer boxes have snuck in here too. And when you do your SEO session and you learn more about what does it take to rank, you'll understand what these answer boxes mean and how you can capitalize on that screen real estate. But we can see here that the SERP has changed yet again for when we change our nomenclature. Flip it over to Grass Cutting Service Toronto, and we see Gardenzilla has snuck in here now, and now we've got Kijiji. So you can see for a company like Josh's, like right off the top of my head, without having done any research, I thought of 5 or 6 ways in which somebody in North London or Toronto might try to find an organization like Josh's. And there are probably, if there are 5, there are probably 500 ways of trying to find Josh online. And Josh's search landscape and the competition that he is trying to outrank will change every time the keyword changes. And it's absolutely impossible, and don't let anyone ever tell you, it's absolutely impossible for Josh to rank in the number 1 position for every single keyword permutation that pertains to his business, every single way in which his customers might be trying to find him. It is simply impossible. And the minute that Josh falls out of position 1 and potentially off of page 1 is the minute that Josh is missing out on revenue generating opportunities. And that's why we talk about search marketing as an instantaneous way to gain exposure and real estate on the search results page, because above all of this, on every single screenshot that I have just shown you, I cut out the top part of the page that lies above the fold. And if you don't know what the fold is, it's the line on your computer below which you need to scroll to see what's down there. So everything visible within your screen without having to scroll is the content above the fold. When you are trying to capture real estate on the search results page, you want to capture as much real estate as you can above the fold, because that's your opportunity to get the highest volume of clicks. And I'll show you some statistics in a minute that will validate that. So I cut out this whole area of the search results page, which is the advertising at the top of the page here. And so we can see here that Lawn Savers has an ad and Weedman has an ad. And then we get down here into what's called the Maps listing, and below which is called the Maps Snack Pack. So when you take your SEO, particularly for Josh's company and other localized businesses, you really want to make sure that you're asking the instructor a lot of questions about what does it mean to rank organically on a hyper local basis, and what can I do to gain exposure in this map snack pack, because there's a lot of nuances to localized SEO that are different from sort of a national campaign that some other students in the room will be trying to execute. There's somebody running an e-commerce fulfillment business, selling custom candles online and so forth. And localized SEO is not so important to you because it doesn't matter if I'm in Oakville or London or Vancouver. You're trying to expose yourself to a national audience, but that's not the case for Josh at all. So what we see up here is what's called Google Ads. And today, Google Ads take a number of different formats that I'm going to show you. But I teach a lot of search marketing, and to capture the attention of the students at the very beginning of my classes, I like to bring everybody on board, because particularly folks in your demographic are a little bit skeptical of these ads, because many of you might not see them often if you have ad blockers on. And we'll talk about the implications of ad blockers for search marketing in a minute. But let's start by seeing if anybody in the room, and please turn your mics on if you can take a guess for me as to what Google's revenue, top line revenue was in 2020. Does anybody want to take a guess?
Shy bunch here. Someone take a crack at it.
So you're looking for monetary value?
Their revenue.
Oh my God.
Entire revenue or ad revenue only?
No, entire revenue.
Oh my God, like billions.
I want to say trillion.
Abby, close. $200 billion they're approaching. I think it was like 190 last year. And does anybody know, so we'll go to Abby, because Abby had a great question there. Abby, do you know what portion of that revenue comes from advertising?
Google, 200 billion. I would say, honestly, probably 50 to 65% of that.
Yeah, good guess. It's over 80%.
Wow.
So if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, what do we got to talk about these little ads for? I have an ad blocker on. I never even see these ads. You would be 80% of $200 billion wrong. Because do you know when Google gets paid for these ads?
People click on it?
Yeah, so they don't get any money unless somebody clicks. So if you think that nobody is seeing these ads or nobody is clicking on these ads, then you're really wrong. And we're here to talk today about how you can make this type of advertising work for you. So let's just take a look at how Google's revenue, advertising revenue, has grown over the years. And so I'm going to plug myself in here at 2006. Well, 2001 is when I first started working in the platform. Right away, I was doing some consulting for a company called Interact Direct in London. And the owner of the business said, oh, you've got to check out this new advertising platform that Google is launching. I can't even remember if it was called AdWords back then. It might have been something even different. And so we sort of self-taught ourselves the platform. And then here in 2006 is when we launched the course at Fanshawe that was dedicated to the Google Ads platform. And take a look at, because I had some naysayers at Fanshawe that said, yeah, this might last a couple of years. And take a look at where we are today at $147 billion in revenue associated with this PPC platform, pay-per-click advertising platform. And Google takes about 30% of all digital advertising spend around the world. And so there's still yet another 70% that is being spent on other platforms. But if you understand how the Google digital platform works, it's easy to sort of transfer those skills into other platforms. And certainly in Canada, it is the leading engine in terms of share of search. So this chart, I put it in here to show you, because some of you might be saying, okay, Liz, 80% of 200 billion, but does the platform work? And if it didn't work, I can assure you that we would not see this kind of massive increase over time in revenue. Companies would have given up on this platform long ago, because the beauty of digital advertising is that everything's trackable. We know exactly how much money we have spent, how many clicks to our website that money has generated, and how many of the people that have landed on our website as a result of digital advertising have gone through to convert, and what is the lifetime value of those people. So there is no excuse for not tracking results and not understanding what your return on investment is from the spend. And I can assure you that organizations would have given up long ago if it were not for really, really positive return on investment opportunities in digital advertising, specifically PPC advertising on the search results page. So then for those of you that are thinking about ad blockers, because it really is a reality. And in fact, at Fanshawe College, my work laptop has an ad blocker blocked, like installed. And I called IT and I said, hey, listen, guys, like I teach digital advertising. I can't have an ad blocker on here. That's, you know, you got to get this off for me. And they said, no, we can't get it off. It's on there. Sorry about your luck. So every time I want to see ads or grab screenshots for students, I have to manually turn it off every time I do a search. So it really is a reality. But this is how it plays out around the US. So this is a pretty good study that I was able to find that shows you the demographic breakdown of folks that have ad blockers on their browsers. And so we're seeing that the 18 to 29 group is the largest offenders at 41%. And then you can see how that breaks down across gender. But this is what it looks like today. And so it might not be as high as you had thought. Perhaps, you know, if you're in this zone here, you might think that folks in other demographic profiles are using ad blockers to the same extent that you are, and it just isn't the case. And so if they still are a problem, but it's definitely not, you can see it's not impacting Google's revenue in a detrimental way anyhow. Okay, now let's talk about,
sorry, Liz, I have a question. So I use an ad blocker, and I have sometimes I'll go to websites and it'll like request that I take it off to be able to view the content. So is that something that, like, as a business, that I can do on my website to prevent that?
Is that something that you can do on your website?
Yes, to prevent people from having an ad blocker, like basically limiting their access to the content on the site until they've like whitelisted it or whatever.
Yeah, I suppose it is something that you could do, but I would ask you, like, are you doing, what's the nature of your website? Are you planning on serving advertising? Are you?
I was just inquiring just because of the, we were talking about ad blocking right now and it was pertinent, but my business is a hair care product line and there'll be e-commerce on my site.
Yeah. So for an organization like yours, like usually it's only pertinent for a content website. So let's say you were starting, you were monetizing content by way of serving advertising on your website. That's when you might want to engage in a strategy that you're referring to. Okay. But I would not, on an e-commerce site like yours, Abby, I would not worry about that, because I would suspect you would not be wanting to serve advertising. You're not going to want to release people off of your website or drive traffic to other websites from your website. That's not the goal of your website. You want to convert people into buyers. And I would suspect that the revenue that you could generate from advertising on your site would not even be close to the revenue that you would be able to if you instead focused your efforts on retaining the traffic on your website and converting that traffic and bringing that traffic back for repeat purchases and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah, because once you start serving advertising, people are clicking on links and then they're leaving your website. So you've engaged in efforts to acquire them and get them to your website, and then you're letting them go elsewhere, and they haven't fulfilled the ultimate goal, which is to sell the hair care products.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. So I just want to show you some interesting statistics too about where are clicks happening on the SERP? Because, you know, anecdotally we think, oh, you know, nobody goes to page 2 or nobody scrolls below the fold, blah, blah, blah. And there is research to suggest that it absolutely is the case. So we see here that 25% of people are clicking on the first Google organic search result when it's a pure organic search result that is indeed in position number 1. So let me show you what click-through rates look like for organic rankings. So if your website ranks number 1 organically, no paid ads above you, so you are the absolute number 1 listing, the average click-through rate in that position, which means of every 100 times your organic snippet appears, 28.5 times you're going to get the click if you're in position number 1. But watch how this graph changes as soon as you introduce an advertising block at the top of the page. That first organic listing goes down to 18.9 and lower and lower all the way down the list here. So as soon as the number 1, so you're still getting an 18.9% click-through rate in number 1 organic spot, but we've lost 10 percentage points there as soon as we introduce the advertising block there. So you can see what kind of an impact the ads have on somebody's propensity to click on the organic listings, because we think that, you know, especially in your demographic, that the organic listings are more trustworthy. They're ranking because of pure relevance of content, and they haven't paid to be there, and so they must be better. While we're still losing 10 percentage points. So people are still inclined to click at the top, regardless of whether it's an ad or an organic listing. And so that's the point I was trying to drive home with all of those screenshots related to lawn care businesses, is that you know, in some cases, you really can't afford not to be there. Let's take a look at some different ad formats, because we know that today, and take a look at this screenshot, there's nothing else above the fold other than advertising. So depending on the nature of your search nomenclature, so here, e-commerce fulfillment services, whose company is Pencil? Dave, sorry, my memory is
that would be Maisie.
That's Maisie. Hi, Maisie. So is this a fair search query for you? Is it relevant to your business? E-commerce fulfillment service, is that how you would describe yourself?
Yeah.
So let's say you were executing some SEO strategies to try to rank for this nomenclature. You're in this particular SERP scenario here, you're never going to land above the fold because all it is advertising. And so people have to scroll down to even see the organic listings. These are called regular text ads. And we're going to primarily spend our time today talking about text ads, but Google.
Liz, we lost you.
Product listing ads. And so
Liz?
who is, yes.
Sorry, we lost you for about 10 seconds there.
Sorry. Google, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah. Google offers you the opportunity also through their advertising platform to run PLAs, product listing ads, or shopping ads. And this is what they look like. And they will often be at the top of the page. Or, sorry, are you also seeing my Zoom, Dave? Like my Zoom faces? You're not? Okay, good. Because I'm continually flipping your faces from side to side based on the screen. I just want to make sure that's not distracting to you. Over on the right here, we also see our PLAs, and these are also on a pay-per-click system. They are triggered by what's called a data feed. So who's selling bassoon reeds?
That's me, Brittany.
Brittany?
Yeah.
Hi, Brittany. So when I search on buy bassoon reed, we've got some interesting local listings here from Best Buy. I don't think you can buy a bassoon reed at Best Buy, but over here we're seeing some relevant shopping ads that are culled together by Google based on these organizations like Long and McQuaid, for example. They have submitted what's called a product feed, which is no more than just one big giant Excel spreadsheet listing all of the products that Long and McQuaid has for sale. And Google is scrolling through that product feed and finding images of products that it believes are relevant to the nomenclature that was just searched. And again, this is a pay-per-click system. There's a lot of value to be had in shopping ads, but you have to have a product feed. So Josh couldn't run a shopping campaign, for example. He's not selling a product, and neither could Maisie, who is selling custom candles.
Hi.
Brooke, this is something that you could think about doing in order to capture some screen real estate. It's all about, what does the SERP look like, and how can I grab as many spots on that SERP as possible, right? And it all depends on, obviously, on your budget and the geo target that you're targeting. We'll talk more about that. We're seeing here, so do you remember this local snack pack of maps listings that I was talking about? You have the ability to run an ad. Now, this is something that Josh could do. So if I type in London, Ontario lawn service, we have an ad here for Nick's Lawn is paying to be in the #1 spot in the snack pack. And so that's something else that you can do through the Google Ads platform. And we know that Google owns YouTube, obviously, and YouTube is the #2 most popular search engine, and we can run advertising. So this is an example of a video pre-roll ad. When I type in London, Ontario news, I have to watch a small clip of a video, and the advertiser gets charged based on whether I watch it in its entirety or whether I watch a small snippet of it. Anyway, that is also a part of the Google Ads platform. And then, of course,
I just have a question.
Yeah.
It was about the slide before, the lawn care with the snack pack one. So, or just forward one. Yeah, there. Yeah. Jennifer Dittmer was telling us about Google My Business. Is that what that is underneath the ad? Is that how that would show up?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, you don't need a Google My Business page to necessarily have your listing appear here. So let's say, for example, you start up a new local business and you get yourself a Yellow Pages listing online and what have you. The minute that Google finds out about you, and their crawlers are constantly crawling local listings to discover new businesses, Google will make Google My Business page for you. It will be like a shell of a page, and you might not even know that it exists. What Jennifer would have been doing is encouraging you to claim that listing so that you can personalize it and manage it, respond to inquiries, for example, respond to reviews, monitor reviews, and also to make sure that your information is correct: phone number, hours of operation, address, etc. So even though you don't necessarily manage your GMB listing, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And that's what's so dangerous for small business owners, is they don't understand that there's this whole like mini profile of them online that you can control, but you need to take it over. And there's lots of listing companies like that. The Yellow Pages is a perfect example. Yelp is another. There's tons of online listing companies that you can claim your listing for free and manage your online profile. And it's really important as a local business to do that. Good question. Any other questions? Okay. Sorry, I think my children just ran by in the background. You might see that a few times. I have no control anymore. I've given up all hope. So sorry. Okay. In addition to text advertising, what you see here is an ad that I came across on the London Free Press. You can see this little insignia up here indicates that this is a Google ad off of the Display Network. So in addition to running ads on google.com and its affiliate search engines, you can also run advertising, graphic advertising, and video advertising on content websites like the New York Times, Martha Stewart, you name it, websites that exist out there for the purposes of monetizing content. Not like Abby's site. This is what Abby and I were just talking about. If you have a website whose purpose is to generate revenue through e-commerce, you would not fall into the group of a content monetization website like the Free Press is. That's how they make most of their money, is through advertising. So this is also run through the Google advertising platform. And just a screenshot to illustrate the danger of not advertising. And as I mentioned before, the minute that Josh is not present on the search results page when somebody is trying to find him is a missed revenue opportunity. So take a look here on my mobile device for a query for Blue Diamond window cleaning. I'm looking for a specific company in London that I like to hire to do my windows. And take a look at who's ranking above the fold. Two other window cleaning companies, Shack Shine and Men in Kilts, have taken over the entire space by bidding on that term or a derivative of that term. They might not be bidding on Blue Diamond window cleaning, but they might be bidding on window cleaning, which is causing them to rank above me. And I'm Blue Diamond, like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine how frustrating that is for Blue Diamond when somebody is looking for them specifically, and yet they're presented with their competition, right? So it's something that you really need to watch and pay attention to, and consider that, you know, if you're really serious about getting exposure on the search results page, that advertising is definitely the way to go in the beginning. There's 4 reasons why I love the Google Ads platform, and I'll share them with you. And then I'm going to talk to you about 4 reasons that you have to be really careful, and reasons that I don't love it. So there's definitely pros and cons, but I love the fact that we're paying for traffic only. So we are not paying for impressions on Google. It doesn't matter how many times Google serves your ad. You are paying when somebody clicks on your ad only. And what you do with that traffic is up to you then, right? So it's really important that when you engage in a search marketing campaign, you be really careful to only attract good impressions. Because if you're not attracting good, relevant impressions, then you're potentially going to be paying for garbage traffic. And that's when you run into big trouble on the search result, or in a search marketing campaign. So I love the fact that we are paying for clicks only. The quality of those clicks is up to you, because you choose the keywords that you want to bid on. So Maisie's going to ask herself, is e-commerce fulfillment service, is that going to bring me the right kind of visitor? And Maisie might have to try it for a little while to see, because sometimes we don't know, right? Sometimes it's hard to tell what search intent is. You know, there's been lots of studies about the difference between singular search and a plural search. So if I go to Google and I type in RRSP investment versus RRSP investments, I might be in a different frame of mind. The plural version might mean that I'm still shopping for opportunities and I'm not in a buying state of mind at this point in time, whereas the singular version has been proven to be searched by people who are ready to spend money and invest at that moment in time. And certainly your conversion rate and your return on investment will show as a result. So you really, really have to be careful with search intent. So there's a big difference between e-commerce fulfillment, Maisie, and e-commerce fulfillment service. You are the latter of the two. And so we have to understand the nuances between the two search intents. It's just like the difference, you know, my students have done lots of advertising over the years for photographers. And there's a really big difference between the word photographer and photography. And we tend to stay away from nomenclature related to photography. This is the do-it-yourselfer. This is people looking to buy photographs online, not you hire a photographer. You don't hire photography. Do you know what I mean? So it's really, you know, sort of a fine line between the words that you want and the words that you don't want. And so really good detailed research on keywords and testing is of the utmost importance. The next thing I love is that we can control our budget. So if Maisie says, okay, you know what, I've got 10 bucks a day to spend, I'm going to, and that's all I want to spend, and I want to see what can happen. It's going to be a little bit hard to get traction with such a low budget. So I'm not saying that you'll be able to achieve success right away, but it is possible. It is possible to set any budget. There's no minimum spend. You're only restricted by the cost of the keywords that you're bidding on. So if Maisie's keywords, for example, are all like $8 a click, then $10 a day is not going to get you very far. Do you know what I mean? So that is one restriction, but Maisie can set her daily budget at whatever she likes, depending on how much it is that you want to spend. You can also control your geo target. So let's say Abby only wants to sell her hair care products. She knows she's only fulfilling orders in Ontario. Abby's not going to waste impressions in other provinces that she doesn't service, because it's possible to draw a point on a map and serve your ads to IP addresses that fall within any radius. And it can be as narrow as a postal code area. And then I love the fact that success is tracked right down to the penny. So even if I come to Abby's site and I look at her hair care products and I leave the site and come back 10 days later and then buy, that revenue is still attributed back to the original keyword that Abby purchased through the Google Ads platform, even though the revenue is not collected until 10 days later. So it's easy for Abby to see which are the keywords that are driving revenue and which are the keywords that are not, so that she can scrap the losing keywords and invest more in the nomenclature that's actually working for her. There are 4 reasons that you have to be really careful, and I would caution everybody because I've talked to so many people that say, oh, I've done Google advertising, it doesn't work, it's awful. And then I'll go into their account and it hasn't been set up properly, and I can understand how they wasted lots of money and didn't achieve success. So you have to be really careful, as I said, about the keywords that you choose and the time that you wait. You know, I've had companies that say, oh, yeah, I'll give you $1,000 and we'll see what you can do in 2 weeks. Well, it's hard to get traction in the beginning as an early advertiser. There is some latency sometimes in terms of seeing success. A lot of the Google Ads platform today operates on big data, and artificial intelligence and machine learning, as you know, is only as good as the data that feeds it. So as a brand new advertiser, without conversion information to feed the algorithms so that they can help you achieve automated success, you might not be achieving success in the very beginning. But I would caution you not to give up too soon, because sometimes it takes time for success to play out. Sometimes it's instantaneous, and I've seen crazy success stories from students that have had very small budgets and only a couple of weeks, and they've done fabulous things, but it isn't the norm necessarily. You have to be really careful about the website that you're driving traffic to. So I can remember years ago running a campaign for a business in London selling EpiPen pouches. And I banged my head against a wall for so long trying to figure out, why can't I make this work? Why can't? And I had friends take a look at what I was doing, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with the campaign that we were running. I just couldn't get the traffic to convert. And it had nothing to do with the quality of traffic. You can't tell me that somebody who goes to Google and types in buy EpiPen holder doesn't want to buy an EpiPen holder. But the product was priced too high. It wasn't competitive. The landing pages weren't converting for us. So keywords can only do so much. Ultimately, if I walk through the front door of your store and I'm turned off by what I see and I turn around and go out, doesn't mean that I wasn't a qualified visitor, but you just weren't able to take me to the next level in the funnel. And that's really important to pay attention to. So you don't necessarily blame Google Ads. You have to take a close look at what's happening on your website. And the metrics that you're choosing to gauge the success of your campaign is also really important. Okay, so before we get on to Google Analytics, so I'm just checking the time here. My daughter is waving at me through the window, trying to distract me. I want to talk to you about how the Google Ads system is set up, because once you understand how the search marketing system, the hierarchy of search marketing is set up within the Google Ads platform, it should become sort of clear to you in terms of how you might organize this if this was you. The very first thing that you do when you start a Google Ads account, and accounts are free to start. So I would encourage everybody to just start one and play around with it. You don't need to input a credit card or spend a nickel to get into the platform and start to play around. But once you do start to set something up, the very first thing that you need to set up is something called a campaign. And a campaign is nothing more than a collection of ad groups. So for example, here, for this company, I've taken a screen capture from within the ads platform. They have a campaign called Bags. Within their campaign called Bags, actually, I've got a screenshot for their boxes. So let's go to this boxes campaign here. So within their campaign called Boxes, they have ad groups to delineate each kind of box that they sell. They sell cake boxes, cupcake boxes, macaroon boxes, et cetera, et cetera. So a campaign is nothing more than a collection of ad groups. An ad group is nothing more than a collection of keywords. So within this is their cake box ad group. So I'm in the box campaign, in the cake box ad group, and within this ad group here, you see the keywords that this company wanted to bid on. They wanted to, and don't worry about all of the syntax here. I'll explain to you what it means in a second. They want to bid on the keyword cake boxes wholesale, cake boxes, tall cake boxes wholesale, tiered cake boxes wholesale, et cetera, et cetera. Every single keyword within the ad group called cake boxes has something to do with cake boxes. That's what allows you to write detailed advertising related to the theme of the keyword. So every single ad group has its own set of ads related to the theme of that ad group. And if you get that concept wrong, nothing's going to work properly for you, because somebody will be searching cake boxes and they'll see an ad for a macaroon box, and they're not going to click on it because they didn't search macaroon box. So if you're jumbling up all of your keywords and not delineating them into different categories of products or services that you sell, then you can't write a great ad. And the definition of a great ad is a relevant ad that speaks to the nomenclature that was just searched. So if Josh offers lawn cutting, lawn maintenance, weeding, and I think you have pooper scooping even on your website. Those are all different services. Each of those services is going to have its own ad group, because each of them, we look for each of them differently. If I'm looking for a pooping scooping service, I'm going to use different words than if I'm looking for a a weed application service or a lawn cutting service. And so the ability for you to write really, really targeted advertising is critical in developing something called a quality score. So if you know anything about SEO, and we don't have a ton of time today to get into SEO, but I would love to come back another day and talk about it with you. But if you know anything about Google's mission in the SEO world, it is to organize the internet information and present the most relevant listings based on what it is that I've just queried. They know if they don't fulfill that mission that I'm going to start to use Bing. So if I type in lawn cutting service, if they don't give me a listing that is relevant and provides a good user experience to me, I'm not going to be happy with Google, and I'm going to go elsewhere eventually. The same tenets hold true on the advertising side. You just can't be a guy with deep pockets and lots of money to spend and think that you're going to outrank everybody else. You have to demonstrate that you are a quality advertiser. And you demonstrate that to Google by achieving a high click-through rate. If you don't achieve a high click-through rate with your advertising on Google, your quality score goes down, your cost goes up, and Google starts to lower your ad rank, and eventually you fall out of the advertising spot and you're not even eligible to be in the auction anymore because your quality is so bad. I'm going to click on advertising. As a searcher, I'm going to click on advertising for a number of different reasons, but the primary reason people choose to click is because you're relevant to me. If I have just searched on London lawn service, I want to see those words in the ad. When I see those words, I know you're relevant to me. Then I'm going to look for other things that appeal to me. What's your offer? Do you have any special, like sign up today and get 15% off? Or have you been in business for 25 years? Does it look trustworthy? Is it meeting my needs because you specialize in shady lawns or whatever? But the very first thing I look for is how relevant are you? The minute that your click-through rate starts to drop as compared to other advertisers who are in that auction, that's when your quality score begins to get damaged. And the one way that you can prevent that from happening is to create really granular ad groups so that you can write targeted advertising. So if we take a look at this example here for a Blue Diamond window washing company as an example, their ad groups might look like this with keywords that might look like this. So you'd have an ad group dedicated to residential services, commercial, eaves trough cleaning, concrete cleaning, and then each of the keywords within each of those groups are really, really targeted to the theme of that group. The next step in the process is to do that keyword research and think about how you're going to match the keyword. And today, it's changed recently. Today, there are only 3 match types available to you, hence the syntax that Google asks you to input with the keywords they're bidding. So for example, I wanted to bid on bassoon reed, and I only wanted my ad to show when somebody typed in bassoon reed, nothing before it, nothing after, nothing interjected in between, then I would use the most restrictive match type called exact, and I would encase bassoon reed with square brackets like this. If I wanted to go a little bit more broad and let Google have a little bit more leverage, so the further up I go, the more leverage I'm giving Google and the more dangerous it is and the more money I'll spend, more impressions I'm going to get, but usually they're less qualified because a phrase match allows words to come before, it allows words to come after. And so I might type in something like, how can I make my own bassoon reed? And just like bassoon reed was in the query, but it was preceded by how can I make my own bassoon reed? Well, you don't want, who was it? Is Brittany? That's Brittany, yeah. Brittany doesn't want to pay for that traffic. If you want to make your own bassoon reed, you're not going to buy my bassoon reed. So I don't want you to see my ad. I don't want to pay for you. Get it out, get out of here. So you can see how phrase becomes dangerous. And then bassoon read broad match with no syntax around it is super dangerous. And I would never recommend it for any of you. That allows Google to flip out synonyms. So like if it believes that, I don't know, Brittany, what's a synonym for bassoon? That maybe an instrument that Google thinks is close enough, but maybe they don't have reeds. I don't know, I'm not an instrument player, but
Oboe is like the double. So it'd probably be like oboe.
Oboe, okay. But you also sell oboe reeds, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be a bad synonym for you, but there's probably some bad synonyms out there. Like, I don't know, I'm making this up, but tuba, I know tubas don't have reeds, but let's say Google thought a tuba was a synonym for bassoon. Somebody types in tuba reed and you've broad matched bassoon reed and your ad shows. That's really risky for you because you run the risk of paying for that traffic that's totally irrelevant. And so there's lots of things to be careful with. As much as I love the ads platform, they make it really, really simple for you to get set up, put your credit card in there and off you go. But if you don't know the nuances of the system, then it could be problematic. So ad copywriting is another key success factor that we talk about, and anything that you can do, A, to be relevant, B, to differentiate yourself, and 3, to offer some kind of an offer, whether it be a free quote or whatever. Usually you'll find your click-through rate gets better and better and better. Then the next thing you need to decide and think about is the cost. And everybody wants to ask me, well, how much is it? How much money do I need to invest? And it all depends on the nature of the business that you're operating in and the vertical and the competitive nature of the vertical in which you're operating. So expensive keywords, anything related to insurance, legal, finance, because we know that the prospect of the payout is really high. So whenever there's an opportunity to drive a really, really high return on investment, then you're going to find that your keyword costs are much higher. But you need to ask yourself, what is a click worth to you? And does it make sense? So does it make sense for Brittany to spend 75 cents per click if she can only convert 1 out of 10 people that land on her website, and the margin on a bassoon reed might only be $3? Well, the math just doesn't work out in that case. Do you know what I mean? So the advertising, not every keyword is going to be affordable to you, or perhaps none of the keywords are going to be affordable to you. It all depends on what percentage of your website traffic converts, what is the margin of the product that you're selling, and you multiply those two numbers together, and then you'll get sort of your click threshold, your maximum cost per click. Anything below that number is going to drive a positive contribution to your overhead, and anything above that obviously is going to lose you money. So it's not abnormal for a search marketing campaign to lose money in the beginning while you're refining and weeding out keywords that are not working for you. It's not possible for it to work beautifully in the beginning because you don't know whether certain keywords are going to work or not. And then choosing your landing page is really important too. As I talked to you before, the quality of the keyword is only one thing, but it's the quality of the destination of the traffic, and how are you leading people down the funnel that becomes really important. Okay, the other thing that you want to think about is setting goals, testing, and tracking success. So for a company like Josh's, for example, our goal obviously is going to get people to sign up on this button here, right? But what if this button was moved up here? And what if it was made to be bigger? Would that impact our conversion rate? Would we be able to take a a losing search marketing campaign and turn it into a winning one if we only made subtle pages to landing page that we're driving traffic to. Or maybe because Josh will be bidding on words and geo-targeting his campaign to the London region, maybe when I land on this page, because I don't see the word London anywhere, maybe I'm apt to leave thinking that, I'm not convinced right now that that Nearby Neighbors is actually servicing London, because I wish that this said London lawn mowing. So be really, really careful not to assume that Google Ads is not working when potentially it could be tweaks to your landing page that will turn a losing campaign into a winning one. Everybody also wants to know, like, what's a good click-through rate? And there's all kinds of stats out there that give you average click-through rates on the search network, mobile devices and desktop devices across different industries. But usually we're sitting in and around 3 to 4% click-through rate, which means that of every 100 times that your ad is shown, it's going to get clicked about 3 to 4 times. And again, we don't pay for those 100 impressions. We're only paying for those 3 or 4 clicks. There's all kinds of metrics that we use to gauge success, click-through rate being one of them, but ultimately the best metric to use is return on investment. So a lot of folks like to talk about, okay, well, what's the difference between Google advertising and Facebook advertising, and which one is better for me? And it's a hard question for me to answer because I've seen Google work better and I've seen Facebook work better. So it really all depends. It all depends on whether you're selling, for example, a highly visual product that's hard to differentiate in a text ad format on Google. If you're selling a brand new kind of a product that nobody is looking for on Google, like, you can only be successful on Google if people are searching your keywords. If your product is so new or unique, or that nobody even knows the words to use, then Google's obviously not going to work for you. And you'd need a platform like Facebook that obviously has other targeting methodologies. So I would encourage you not to rule out either of them, but small budgets, it's not going to take you too long to figure out which one drives a better return on investment. Okay, I'm just going to open the floor before we get to our next topic. So we have about 25 minutes left, but I want to see whether Dave, is there anything in chat? Here, I'll bring it up myself.
Nothing.
No, there's nothing in chat. So the last hour was a very cursory overview of the Google Ads platform. That, to give you an example, I teach this 4 hours per week over 14 weeks at Fanshawe. So can't possibly do the system justice in an hour, but I hope that I've been able to give you just enough knowledge to potentially, consider learning more about it if you decide to advertise. Anybody have any questions about that or SEO? Josh, go ahead.
I beat you to it, Brittany. I kind of have an ethics question. So a lot of the time I see that people are advertising on their competitors' names as keywords, right? I see that on the App Store a lot, actually. When I look for, like Netflix, then boom, Disney Plus comes up as, the first advertised. I see that all the time, all over the place. Should I do that? Because me as a consumer, I'm not sure if it's just because I have a slight business background, or if it's actually, if it would have if other people would have an opinion on it. Should I do it ethically? And also, would my prospects look down on me for noticing that?
Good question.
Thank you.
So, yeah. So this all went to court years ago, maybe 15 years ago. There was a big court case because competitors were doing that, and it was deemed to be legal behavior. So legally, are you allowed to do it? Yes. Ethically, that's entirely up to you. But I will say a couple things. I have seen it work really well, and I have seen it not work really well. So you'll never know whether it will work until you try it. But there's a couple of things that I will caution you about. So give me an example of one of your competitors.
Nick's Lawn Care.
Nick's Lawn Care. Okay.
So you bid on Nick's Lawn Care, meaning that if somebody goes to Google and types in Nick's Lawn Care, your nearby neighbors ad is going to show up. Is that nearby neighbors ad going to mention Nick's Lawn Care anywhere in it?
What if it
No.
says better than Nick's Lawn Care as a headline? And we actually offer lawn mowing.
That you cannot do. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
not legal. Okay.
Oh, really?
That's correct.
I didn't know
so
that was a legal thing, but okay.
That's when you can get into trouble because you are using a trademark term, right? So you can bid on the term, but you can't use the term in your ad. Whenever you don't use the term that you've bid on in your ad, your quality score ends up suffering. Like if I go to Google and I type in Nick's Lawn Care, like chances are 9.9 times out of 10, I'm going to look until I find Nick's because I searched on their brand name.
Mhm.
I'm not going, you're not going to change my mind in your ad, right?
Yeah.
So not only is your quality score from relevance perspective, like Google scanning the content of the ad to say he's bidding on Nick's, but he's not mentioning Nick's anywhere. So that's, like a strike against you. Not only that, your click-through rate is going to be probably pretty bad, which is going to damage your quality score even more.
Well,
A
then
lower
what's,
sorry,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry. I was going to say, what's an instance where it would work? Because that's the only way I've been able to visualize it is in the non-working situations.
Yeah. I just know that some people have had success with it, particularly when their competitors have generic names. Like, let's say your company name was the London Window Washing Company. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people typing in London window washing aren't necessarily looking for the London Window Washing Company. Do you know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah. And then in other instances, for whatever reason, people have been able to be swayed to click on competitors' ads, or the landing page is so compelling.
Yeah.
So will people look down on you? I mean, my gut is telling me no. I've never read research to suggest that people believe that. I don't think that the average the average search user really knows how the Google advertising auction works.
That's true.
Take my mom, for example. She's got no idea that you bid on keywords. Like she wouldn't even know how the ad would be triggered. So she wouldn't put 2 and 2 together, like Josh is bidding on Nick's. I don't like Josh anymore. That wouldn't compute. Because she just doesn't understand the system.
But if I'm selling something to the tech-oriented demographic, then it might be different because they generally know more. Or if I'm like a marketing agency and I'm trying to sell my marketing services, then the people might know.
Maybe.
I'll hand it off to Brittany now.
Yeah.
Thank you, though. I appreciate that. That clears things up.
Hi, this is like kind of a specific question, but so we're currently using like the Google Merchant Center. It's like kind of linked through Shopify, as well as we have the Google My Business and Analytics all running right now. With the Merchant Center in particular, like I'm finding that like our listings are not showing up like in shopping on Google. Is that something that like they're approved and says that they're there, but they're not actually showing up? Is there like something that I could or should be doing to help that be improved?
Yeah, that's a big loaded question. It could be a whole host of things. Do you remember for the rest of the crowd, when I was talking about shopping and PLAs and I talked about that big Excel spreadsheet? Essentially, that's what Brittany's talking about. The Merchant Center is your data feed. Brittany, I might start with like Googling, common Merchant Center problems or things like that. It could be so many things. I'm sorry, I can't give you an answer without looking myself.
Yeah, that's okay. Merchant Center is like the one that I just could not find a ton of resources on. But I can keep looking through.
Yeah, and I'll do some digging too. And if I come across anything, I'll send it to Dave for you.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great, because I'm just like having a hard time. Like that's the one platform I just can't seem to figure out how to navigate compared to some of the others. So
yeah,
Thank
okay,
you.
I will do that. Yeah. Oh, Brittany, I know another question. Do you you don't do drop shipping, like you physically have your inventory. Do you?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Because I know drop shippers these days are having a really hard time with the merchant center. But if you physically have possession, then the issues that I'm thinking about would not pertain. And Tracy's got her hand up.
Yeah, I have a question. It kind of relates to maybe possibly what Brittany's talking about, but like I'm just wondering, for an ad campaign, should we try, because you're talking about like traffic going to a certain page, should we set up different pages and kind of link them to different pages to see how they like traffic responds to those pages?
Yeah, A/B landing page testing is a great idea, because I'll never be able to tell you, like I took a guess as to Josh, if you brought your sign up button a little bit higher on the page, made it bigger, maybe a different color, maybe your conversion rate would double, maybe it would go down. It's not a science, there's no scientific calculation here other than testing to see. But I will say, Tracy, that what I do know for certain is that if I have clicked on an ad for an oboe reed, don't send me to the bassoon reed page, send me to the oboe reed page. But whether you send me to the category page or a specific product page, or that's where testing comes in, and I wouldn't be able to necessarily tell you one is better than the other.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
And it's super easy to do in the ads platform, because you set up 2 identical ads, but each have a different landing page, and that's really easy to do.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe doing that, like maybe even just to our homepage, and then having like more specific ones, obviously, but just to see how our pages are performing, because we can make as many pages as we want on Wix. So I'm just looking.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Generally, the rule of thumb is the less clicks between your searcher and what it is that they were originally looking for, the better. Do you know what I mean? So I have seen home pages perform better than product category pages when the product was the one that was searched, but it's rare. Usually the product specific page will outperform a more generic page that causes people to then click around to find what it was that they were looking for. You'd never walk into Sport Check and say, oh, can I see your tennis rackets? They wouldn't take you to the swimming suits and then to the hockey sticks before going to the tennis rackets, right? So same kind of thing. Josh, did you have another question?
Yeah, one more. I was just going to ask, kind of on that note, are there any tools that you can use to find keywords that are actually going to work for your business? Because I know there's Google Trends, and I know you can go on Google Ads and use the keyword planner tool there to find what people are searching, but you don't know why they're searching it. So I don't know if there's a way that you can, get a little bit more insight, or if there's anything else that I don't know about.
Yeah, there's lots of keyword research tools out there. WordStream is popping into mind. All you'd have to do is Google them. There's lots that exist out there. Moz has one. My favorite is the one that you mentioned, though, and the one that I have in front of me, I'm within the Google Ads platform right now, and I'm within the keyword planner. And so London Lawn Care. Josh asks a really cool question. So I have my geo-target set at Canada here, because I just want to make sure that I'm not getting any UK data in here. But what this is telling me is that on average, every month, there's obviously seasonality here, but on average, 70 people a month are typing in London Lawn Care, that exact nomenclature. That doesn't include people that are typing in London Lawn Services, for example. If you scroll down, sorry, I have to move your faces around. If you scroll down, I'm not getting any synonyms, but usually what Google will do is it will give you synonyms and other derivatives of keywords that are related to London Lawn Care to give you other ideas of keywords that you might want to bid on. It's my favorite tool, Josh, because it comes from Google's historical database. No other keyword research tool has access to Google's search database. This is 20 years of searches that Google is using to populate this tool. They know exactly how many people are searching on these keywords and are forecasting it forward and so forth. And you have the beauty of seeing approximately how much this is going to cost you, right? But to answer your question, how do I know why somebody has searched London lawn care? Therein lies the $1 million question. Figuring out the intent is
You can only do that through A/B testing, really.
By testing the keyword to see whether it generates. Yeah.
Or
the other thing that I always like to do before I buy a keyword is I'll take it and I'll plug it into Google and I'll see what appears on the search results page. And if I'm not getting a lot of competitive websites, or the organic listings are really not in tune with what I thought I would see, then that might go to show you that the intent is off there, because Google will understand the intent better than you and I, because it has so much history of user behavior on that keyword. So it knows, for example, you could search, J-Lo and Ben Affleck. You're not going to see any ads, because Google knows that that word is not a word that people want to see advertising for. Even if it is, People Magazine, where I can read an article about J-Lo, Google knows that the intent is for celebrity gossip news websites, not advertising, So searching it up yourself and taking a look at the nature of the listings.
It seemed like you had this ready to go. Is this what you're going to talk about next?
No, I'm going to flip over to web analytics before we end for the day.
Interesting.
But yeah, no, I usually have a bajillion tabs open, and that just happened to be one of them. And
perfect.
And then I wonder why my computer's so slow, but here we go. Okay, let me flip this over. Okay, so we don't have, oops, I hit on the wrong button. We don't have a ton of time left today. So let's just talk about web analytics quickly. By show of hands, how many of you are using a web analytics platform right now, Google Analytics or otherwise? Brittany, Josh, Brooke, and David. Okay, so web analytics, we're going to talk about Google Analytics today because it is the most widely used web analytics platform, and it's free, and everybody loves free, right? But there are others that exist, and Google does have a premium offering that costs money and so forth, but their free version is very good. And it can give you insights into what I like to call these 4 buckets. And this is how I introduce my Google Analytics class, by essentially chunking my class into 4 areas. A web analytics platform can help you with user experience findings, technical SEO, traffic acquisition, and conversion rate optimization. I'm going to talk about each of these buckets and show you screen captures from Google Analytics to show you how you use the data. And I'm going to tell you right now that there's my students always run into this, and so do business owners. When you open up the Google Analytics platform, it's like you're hit in the face with data, and it's like you're trying to tread water and figure out what does all this mean, and what am I going to do with it, and how am I going to draw implications and make sense of all this data. And I always say to my students, never, ever, ever open Google Analytics without first having a question in your mind. What is it that you want to know? And then use the data to answer the question. But don't just get in and start swimming around, because you'll get overwhelmed and you won't understand the implications of what it is that you're looking at. So it's really important to think about what is it that I'm trying to learn? And then go to the specific piece of data that will answer that question for you. So for example, let's say you have questions related to user experience. So user experience, as you know, is the experience that we provide to customers or prospective customers with a product, a service, or a website. And today it's all about our website. So how is it that people feel when they're on our website? What is the experience they're getting? And it has to do with things like ease of navigation and imagery, and how easy is it to convert and find information I'm looking for, and so forth. And Google Analytics, the information that is collected there can give you some indications as to whether there might be issues from a user experience perspective that are worth investigating with user testing. And there's lots of user testing platforms out there. Usertesting.com is my favorite, where you can compile a test and have real people out there in the world go through your website and try to find things and try to execute specific actions that you ask them to. And you get to see the video of them doing that and talking to themselves as they're doing it. So it's like you have a bird's eye view into how people are using your website. So Google Analytics doesn't go that far, but it gives us hints as to what might be problem areas or areas of opportunity. And so we'll talk briefly about 3 things related to user experience that you can investigate in the analytics platform. And that's page popularity, entrance and exit locations, and then a phenomenon called pogo sticking that I'll explain in a second. But for those of you that are not using Google Analytics, it is free to use, as I said, and really easy to get installed on your website. And if you're using any CMS like Wix, WordPress, Shopify, anything, it's all a plugin that you set up a Google Analytics account for free using your Gmail. You get an account number when you do that, and then you plug that account number into a plugin in your CMS, and it's deployed on your website right away. And you then, from that point forward, it's not retrospective, but from that point forward, have access to information related to the users that are landing on your website. And you get to understand how they are, where did they come from a geographic perspective, what is their demographic profile, what kind of browser did they use, what is the device that they came in on, mobile versus desktop. And you get to see where they came from a traffic acquisition perspective. Did they find me on social media? Did they come from a search engine? And how are they using my data? What pages are they browsing and how long are they staying, and that kind of thing. So what you're taking a look at now is a screen capture from, so here's your menu of options down here. And again, let's say my question was, which are my most popular and least popular pages on my website? So which ones are being viewed with most frequency and which ones aren't being viewed at all? We go to the behavior tab and take a look at site content. And then what we're going to see here is all of the number of times that all of these individual pages have fired. And so, 9 times out of 10, your homepage is the one that's fires most frequently, but some website owners are interested to find out that it's actually other pages on their website that fire more often than their homepage. But you might also see that, oh, I had really thought that my, blah, blah, blah candles page was more popular than it was, and it's actually not being seen. And then we have to ask ourselves, okay, why? Why are people not going to the specific page? Is it something about the nomenclature we're using in our navigation menu? Is it not easy enough to find? Is it not a popular product? So it's a great tool to understand where people are going and the path that they're using. If you click on this button here that says navigation summary, you can see the path that people are using to get from page to page within your website. It's really interesting to understand whether people are navigating your website in the way in which you had intended. This column of data here is going to show you the most common entrance paths. So again, usually the home page is your most popular landing page, but sometimes it isn't. Some websites, for whatever reason, have a subpage on their website that is ranking more often in a search engine than the home page. And we want to know that, because it's like your house. Like, if you have a party and 50% of the people that come to your party are going to come in your back door, you want to make sure that that's a grand entrance and you're providing a great experience through your back door, just as good as your front door. So we need to understand where people are entering our website. We also need to understand this column of data here that tells us where are people leaving from. So what is the most common last point of contact with my prospective customers, because we want to make sure that we're maybe providing a soft offer, opportunity to grab information if they're not ready to convert or what have you. And then the last phenomenon that we like to take a look for is something called pogo sticking. And if you take a look here, you know, I don't have this in context, so it's pretty normal for the basket, but if we take a look at this basket page, I'm taking a look at data from the Google merchandise store. So if you wanted to buy a Google t-shirt or what have you, this is they make their GA data publicly accessed for the purposes of learning. And you can see here that to identify this phenomenon called pogo sticking, what you're taking a look for is the multiple between the unique page views and the page views, which shows you that there's almost, not quite, but almost a 3 times multiple for your basket page. And there's a big multiple here, a 4 times multiple on this apparel quick view page. And that means that this page, your basket page, was viewed 1,800 in 1,800 sessions, but 5,300 times total. So on average, almost 3 times per session. So within one visitor's session, it's being fired multiple times. So let me show you an example of, I think it was the Flickr candle company that I had a good example. So here, when I go to my classic line, so if I'm on this website here, so here's my classic lines. So I've got my classic line, amber line, and mini line of candles. And so I'm viewing all of the different classic candles, and I decide to get more information about the Sunrise soy candle. If I decide this is not the product that I want, I have to navigate back to the classic line page to be able to get to another candle. That's an example of pogo sticking, where you're forcing people from a navigation perspective to get back to a category page prior to then being able to go forward to take a look at another individual product. And I'm not suggesting that it's problematic, but in some cases, pogo sticking is an interruption to the user experience. In this case, it might be deemed not to be, but in other cases, when, for example, if it was deemed to be a problem, people might appreciate over here in this white space, sorry, let me get rid of that alarm. In this white space here, they might appreciate sort of thumbnail pictures of all of the other candles in the classic line so that I can like click on them and take a look at them quickly rather than having to go back to the category page. And I'm not saying that that's the way it should be on this website. I'm saying that if you saw data to suggest that there was pogo sticking happening, which I suspect there would be, then you'd want to do some user testing to see whether indeed it was impeding conversion rates. Because when you provide for an interrupted user experience, then conversion rates usually slip. That's the kind of thing that we look for in Google Analytics data from a user experience perspective. And then the other thing here, so this is another one of your websites. This particular business owner has written a blog, which is my 4-letter word. Dave, have me back to talk about SEO, and I'll tell everyone why I don't like that word, but great content. But here you might be interested in understanding which one of your blog posts is being fired with most frequency so that you can understand the topics that are of most interest to your website visitors so that you can write more about those topics. So Web Analytics is going to be able to give you that information. Okay. Let's go on to the purple box here, which is traffic acquisition. So when you're running campaigns, maybe a display campaign, paid search, or even if you're not spending any money on advertising, you just want to know, where's my traffic coming from? Is it coming from organic search? Is it coming from social? Is it coming from referral traffic? Google Analytics has a great report that will show you the number of users coming from each channel and the quality of that traffic from a bounce rate perspective, but also from a conversion rate perspective. So you can see, okay, my social traffic is converting much better than my organic search traffic. And you can investigate why might that, and how can what are the implications of that going forward from a strategic traffic acquisition perspective. So Reed Supplies Canada, for example, you have an organic Facebook page. You're going to want to understand where that, how much traffic are you getting from that page so that you can allocate your time appropriately. You're all small business owners and you only have so many hours in the day. You're running businesses, and where should you allocate your time in terms of content? And then the other thing is, I don't know if Jen talked about this, but link building is still very important in SEO. It looks very different than it did 10 years ago, but still really important to understand who's talking about you online. So Reed Supplies Canada, for example, has one inbound link. And in order to get information about that link and the quality of traffic coming from that link, if anybody's clicking on that link, Google Analytics is the tool to use to take a look at that. So this tool that I'm showing you is called Moz. It's a free tool that will give you a backlink analysis. And that's something I would talk about in an SEO session where I could explain to you how to understand who is talking about you online, why are they talking about you, and how can we continue to build links of that nature. Well, to understand the quality of the traffic post-click, Google Analytics is the tool to use. And then from a technical SEO perspective, again, we get hints as to, is there anything on our website that might be impeding our success? And embedded directly into the Google Analytics platform. Now, Page Speed Insights is another free tool that you can use to get an understanding for how quick or slow your website is. But GA's got it built right in where you can see the speed of each of the pages on your website. And anything in the red is falling below your average page load time. And we know definitively that that site speed is a part of Google's PageRank algorithm. All of the things being equal, faster sites will outrank slower sites. So it's really important to keep an eye on how slow your site or specific pages on your site might be. We can get information about performance of organic snippets by way of taking a look at our meta title information in Google Analytics. And also there is a link to the Google Search Console if you have that installed on your website. And if you don't, everybody should be installing it. It's a free tool that gives you invaluable SEO data and also crawl reports. So if Google crawls your website, it detects any errors or blocking TXT or anything like that. That's essentially Google's way of talking to you as a webmaster and for you to talk to them. Because there's sadly no 1-800 number that you can call and complain to Google. Search Console is the tool we use, and it's embedded within Google Analytics. And then, of course, conversion rate optimization. So no website should exist without goal tracking. Every website has a purpose, and some websites have more than one purpose. Josh's purpose is to get people to sign up. Maisie's purpose is to get people to contact or fill in a lead generation form. Brooke is selling candles. Brittany's selling reeds. Every website has a purpose. And if you are not tracking whether that purpose is being fulfilled or not, it's a major missed opportunity because Google Analytics will take any goals that you set up be it a lead gen form, be it average time on page or what have you, whatever you designate, and you can have lots of different goals that you're tracking. Whatever you designate as your goal, that becomes a metric that can be applied against any of the dimensions that we just talked about. So you see your goal conversion rate across different traffic channels. You see it against your different demographic profiles. You see it against devices. So what's my conversion rate on mobile versus desktop? This is where you get all of those stats. So we'll know exactly how many people are hitting on that button and then filling in this form. Even if the form doesn't fire a distinct URL, we have the ability to track events, which are clickable elements on websites that don't fire new pages. We have the ability in Google Analytics to set up what's called a funnel. So for Brooke and Brittany, for example, e-commerce, and Abby's site too. And whenever you're selling something and there are a set of pages through which I need to pass prior to confirming my order, I have to add something to my cart. I have to put in my address information. I have to put in my credit card, et cetera, et cetera. Every one of those steps represents a possible opportunity for me to abandon the funnel and say, oh, something about this I don't trust, or oh, your shipping's cost too much, or what have you. As the business owner, you need to understand where people are bailing from the process so that you can fix the problem spots in your funnel. Google has this great funnel visualization tool that looks like this, that shows you exactly where people are leaving. And then finally, we also get information. If you are an e-commerce business, you can set it up so that Google Analytics will present you data about the specific products that are being sold. Again, that becomes a metric that you can apply against the different dimensions. And then the last thing I'll mention here is attribution. We know today that it is really common for customers to have multiple touch points with your business prior to purchase. So I might learn about you on Facebook. I might learn about Brooks Candles on Facebook by clicking on an ad. I might shop around a little bit. And then I might leave, and 3 days later, I might search for Brooks Company on Google and hit on an organic listing, click on the listing, and then buy. We have to be really careful about attributing all of that revenue to your SEO efforts, because I never would have known about your business had it not been for your Facebook ad. So multi-channel funnels is a great report in Google Analytics that shows you how people got to your website. If they came to your website multiple times prior to purchasing, what were those traffic channels that assisted in the conversion? And as we know, it's exactly like sports. Like, we value, in a hockey game, we value our assists just as much as we do the goals, because we know that the goals would never have transpired without the assists. So your assisted conversion reports in multi-channel funnels, it gives you really, really valuable information. And it allows you not to shortchange channels that might have be contributing to your success, but not be the final last click that people undertook prior to pulling out their wallet. So this is how I feel listening to this presentation without that's Ashley. Okay, are there any other questions? I know I've taken more time than I was supposed to, David, but
that's okay. We cleared the schedule today, so
okay.
You guys have questions?
I have too many questions. I can't even figure out which one to go with, or like how to formulate it. Like, I need all the help.
It's normal. That's really normal. It is. It's quite overwhelming. And again, I'm talking about these topics, and they occupy an entire semester's course at Fanshawe. So it's normal to be overwhelmed and confused, for sure. One step at a time, one day at a time. And
I have a question, I guess, more relevant to your last slide there, Liz. How do you best set yourself up for accurate, like, assisted conversion tracking?
Yeah, That's a great question. And you need to make sure that all of your channels are being tracked properly. So some of your channels are auto tracked for you. So anything coming in from Google Ads, Google Organic, organic, Facebook, that kind of thing. But if you are all auto tracked, but let's say you run an ad campaign on Facebook, when you put in your URL, you want to make sure that you're tagging your URL. And that's something that you just have to research it online to learn how to do that. It's really easy. But if you don't tag your URL, all that Google Analytics sees is that the person came from Facebook. And there's no way of Google Analytics telling whether it was from an organic post or whether it was a paid ad. You have to put a little bit of script after the landing page URL that has zero implications for the user. It doesn't change their experience in any way, other than it allows Google Analytics to cull information related to the specific source of the traffic, being a Facebook campaign. And we can even go so far as to say, let's say you're running 2 different ads on Facebook, you know, one with the person going like this, and then one with the person going like this. And you want to know, does this work better than this? And you just put a little bit of script in the URL to say, okay, hands up or hands to the side, so that you can understand which one is the one driving the most conversions. Silly example, but you know what I mean? Red dress versus green dress, which is the one that people convert on most often. So that, David, is the key to the success, is making sure that all of your channels are being tagged.
And where would I go to get one of those tags?
Yeah. Okay, so let me share my screen again, and I'll take you to my favorite tool. So we'll go to Raven Tools has a good one. So let's say you were running a Facebook ad, you would come to a free tool like this. So their Google Analytics URL builder. And so you'd put in the landing page. So let's say David's website is david.com, and I want to send traffic to the shoes page. So this is my landing page URL on David's website. The campaign source is Facebook, or no, let's make the campaign. It doesn't matter really what you label it. It just matters that you use nomenclature that you understand. So we're going to do cost per click medium, source of Facebook. The campaign name is going to be like our fall campaign, and the content is red shoes. And then what you will see here, or you should see, unless they're now charging for it, click on the URL to select and then copy it. Usually what will happen, why is this? Oh, I wonder if it's my blocker is preventing this ad blocker. I don't know if it's, okay, let me try again. Okay, so we see our URL here. And so you take this URL and you copy it, and then you're going to place it in the destination URL field of the Facebook ad that you're running. And that's what allows Google Analytics to scrape and place that traffic in the right bucket. If you don't do that, all these people just go into the Facebook bucket. And then your paid and organic social traffic is you can't differentiate it. Do you know what I mean? So that's where you would get that code.
Liz, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So when you say like tagging the URL, you're just meaning creating a unique URL to get that data?
Correct. And the tagging means adding this, see that question mark, like the base URL that people are going to go to is the david.com/shoes. And then the question mark delineates that a parameter, a tracking parameter is beginning, and it has zero implications for the user. They're going to see it in their browser bar, but in terms of the experience on the website, doesn't change at all. And these UTM codes here are what allow Google Analytics to know that it was paid social traffic and not organic. So that's the tag. It's adding the question mark and then that parameter that Raven Tools
And you
created
can
for
use
you.
that for like Instagram and stuff as well?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Steve and Janan, I think your hand is up. Oh, you're on mute.
Yes. Thanks. My question's more about search and like search engine behavior and mobile devices. And I was just wondering if you could say anything about like how people are using their mobile devices to conduct searches or to buy things. Like, is there research on that? That would be helpful for us when thinking about like having an e-commerce store. Like, are people buying through their mobile devices? Like, are they still using computers, like that kind of thing?
Yeah, so this is what I know about that. A few years ago, searches on mobile devices eclipsed desktop searches. So that happened maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So more people are searching on their mobile device. Conversion rates in some verticals are still not as high. So people are searching, researching on their mobile devices, but still buying on desktop. And then the third thing that I know for certain is that Google's PageRank algorithm has switched over to something called a mobile first index. And that happened about 18 months ago, where when Google scans your website to understand what it's about so that it can classify it in its index, which is nothing more than like a ginormous filing cabinet of all of the website content that exists out there, it scans your mobile version of your website first. So that shows you how important mobile is to Google. They used to scan your desktop version first. So those are the three things that I know for certain. Are people buying? Yes. Still, generally speaking, more people are turning to their desktops to purchase, but conversion rates are on the rise on mobile. So you absolutely need to be testing and be very concerned with what that experience is like on a mobile device. Are your buttons spaced out so that when I'm trying to hit something with my finger, I'm not accidentally hitting other buttons? Are you auto-filling as many fields as you possibly can? Are you making the mobile checkout process as seamless as it possibly can be? And to, it's never a bad idea to go on all the big, the Amazons and the Zappos and the Land's End and make a purchase or go as far as you can without putting in your credit card to get hints and tips and tricks on how they are making their mobile checkout process as easy as possible, because the big guys usually have it down pat. Josh?
I have a question about my old school form of marketing. I used flyers, and I have no idea how to track that conversion once I have other paths of marketing coming in. Right now, there's no reason for me to have any organic search. So my organic search metrics are my flyer metrics because they're directing them to my website. Mm-hmm. Am I doing this the best way possible? Is there...
Well, I mean, if you're really serious about it, you could do a vanity URL on your flyer, like a
QR code?
No, so your flyer might say, to take advantage of the 15% off discount, go to nearbyneighbors.com/15off.
Oh.
And only that vanity URL is only advertised on the flyer. So any traffic to that page must have come from the flyer. That's the definitive way. Now, is everybody going to type it in its entirety? Well, it depends on how enticing the offer is. You've got to give people a reason to type in a vanity URL, and usually it's through some kind of a discount.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hi, thanks. I think I just really confused myself on the relationship between the keywords you're bidding on and then your actual ad copy. Are you supposed to include as many keywords that you're bidding on in that ad copy, or is that unrelated?
Yeah, no, there's a really strong relationship. So it's a good question. So let's say that you have an ad group and all of the keywords in that ad group are lavender scented candles, buy lavender candles, shop lavender candles, best lavender candles. So the theme of the ad group is lavender candles, and therefore the copy of the ad should have something to do with lavender candles,
Right.
not vanilla candles, because I know I didn't search on vanilla candles. I want to see information about lavender candles. So yes, you want to get the theme of the keyword into the ad copy, but you don't have to put shop lavender candles, buy lavender candles, best lavender candles into the ad, because then it becomes nonsensical.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, good question. Anything else?
Is that it, guys? No more questions?
I have a little shout out. I've heard you guys talk about Moz a lot, and I've never actually really used it, but I read the book by the guy, or actually not the whole book yet, but I read part of the book by the guy who founded the company, and he talks about, you know, his startup journey and stuff like that. So if you're interested, it's called Lost and Foundered. And
yeah, he's Rand Fishkin is his name, and
yeah,
yeah, pretty interesting fellow. Yeah.
yeah, and a pretty interesting story about how they started up too. Lots of insights.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite SEO tools, and there's lots of free features. So the problem is, though, like at the end of the day, each and every one of you are busy running your business, right? So, you know, you're cutting lawns and hiring people and interviewing. Do you know what I mean? And how much time do you have to learn Moz? So you have, you know, don't get overwhelmed, and just chunk it down. And if you can sit down for half an hour and have a list of things that you want to learn, like half an hour a day, you'll eventually get there. It doesn't all have to happen overnight. And just know that there's awesome resources out there. And obviously you have David and your Leap team to support you, but you know, it's normal to feel overwhelmed. Just try to chunk it out into pieces. So
I just so everybody knows, I added a bunch of free resources for you guys to the additional resources tab on FOL, and in there are a bunch of free courses that you can use for learning more about Google Analytics, learning more about the ads platform, and a few of the other tools that we talked about today. But I just want to kind of echo what Liz said there. Yeah, by no means do you need to smash through a 15-hour course all in one go, because that's what we've talked about in this week. Definitely take your time with it, and remember, always focusing on first things first. Whatever's important at that time, it's definitely okay. And I know some of you have it clearly expressed a little sense of being a little overwhelmed, and yeah, I think everybody feels that way, especially when they get introduced with this much data that's available to you, and what do I do with all this? And yeah, you're not alone in that. We're all kind of we're there with you. I'm happy to help where I can. Is there any other questions, guys, before we let Liz go? I think someone just came in the chat. Let's see.
yeah. I don't blame you, Rachel. Yeah, totally.
I know the resources tab is getting kind of large now on FOL. There's a lot of stuff there, but you guys have access to it for a very long time. You're not going to just lose it after we're done the course here. You'll have it for at least a minimum a year to go back and kind of at least capture all that content, download it, or whatever you might need it for. But yeah, it's there, so don't worry. I just wanted to check one more thing. Oh, okay. Someone's posting in Discord about Shopify. Okay. So no other questions hiding over there either. Awesome. Okay. Well, Liz, I guess since Josh mentioned a book, I always like to ask our speakers to recommend either a book, or if you're a podcast person, a podcast that you think might be of interest to the group here.
You know, there is a great, I gotta pull up my phone to get the name of it. My kids are blowing on a whistle. I don't know where they find whistles. And like, it's like, oh my God, this is just so crazy, the things that happen. There is a podcast that I do listen to. It's called Voices of Search, but I'm going to put a big but on it. It is really technical. It's nice and short though, but it's really technical. So you could try it and see, but I'm not sure how much relevant, like, again, it just might be more of an overwhelming thing. But it is a nice and short sort of 10 minutes a day. What's the newest in SEO? But sometimes they really get into the weeds and it's just not relevant for you. So that is the one podcast on the topic that I've been able to find. I don't know if there's more that exists out there. In terms of resources, you know what? I would stick with Moz. Like I'm not going to overwhelm you. I could give you 10 different blogs that you could read, but from an SEO perspective, which I think is probably, you know, whatever is on everyone's minds these days, because it doesn't involve a budget. It involves lots of time on your part. But Moz is the best. They have Whiteboard Fridays, very practical information. You always take away nuggets. They also have an intro to SEO guide. It's like a piece of evergreen content that they put together years ago and they keep updating. It's a fabulous sort of start to finish. So I would stick with their free resources at moz.com, moz.com. The guide is on FOL. Okay. Yeah.
I added it there a while ago. Yeah. I've definitely, I remember when I was in your course, I was actually using that guide quite a bit.
Yeah.
Looks like Tracy just threw her hand up too.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. We have like a creative team that's helping us. And so a lot of like my hours, anyways, I don't know about everybody else, is going into like the CEO. Is there anything that we should maybe ask our creative team to kind of focus on when it comes to that? Like a certain aspect? Like I know she talked about tagging a lot of our images and that kind of thing. I'm just wondering what your insight to that would be.
Yeah, you know, it all depends. I would love to know what the SEO background of your creative team is, because when you say creative team, they probably like sometimes, I don't want to bucket all creative web designers in the same bucket, but sometimes they obviously are beautiful web designers, but they forget about the basics. Things like meta titles and descriptions are so unbelievably important because that's where Google pulls the organic snippet. And without a good organic snippet, nobody's going to click on you and they search for you if you happen to rank on page 1. Do you know what I mean? And so, you know, they might be creating a page for you. And then when it comes to filling in this really critical information, that's like an afterthought, and it should never be an afterthought. It should be a highly strategic, well thought out and well-crafted marketing message, because it is your one and only opportunity to speak to someone who's just tried to find you online. So again, you'll read about this in any SEO starter guide, but don't forget the basics. And in terms of tagging images, I don't know, I wouldn't lose sleep over that kind of, there's many more technical SEO things and content building that I would lose sleep over before I would lose sleep over tagging images like alt. Don't get me wrong, it's very important, specifically for the visually impaired who use readers, but the implications from an SEO perspective, so I'm not saying like very important for accessibility, but from an SEO perspective, there's other things that there is lower hanging fruit.
Perfect. So like that meta script, I guess.
In the titles and descriptions,
Okay.
Really critical. That's what formulates, like, just so we're clear. And again, if we do an SEO session or you do one with somebody else, that is what formulates the snippet. So if I go to Google and I type in lawn care Toronto, these organic listings, to move you guys over, these organic listings down here, this is your meta title, this is your meta description. That's the only thing that people are basing their decision on as to whether they're going to click or not is what have you said here and what are you saying here, and it shouldn't be an afterthought, and it so often is, because the web developer is so concerned with the look and feel of the website, which is important, but that's not going to matter diddly if you don't get anyone to click to begin with. You're not going to have anybody on your website. Do you know what I mean? So
Perfect. Thank you so much.
yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it, David.
I think that was an awesome session, Liz. Thank you so much, as always, for joining us and brain dumping all of this onto everybody. I think this is kind of a really good way to kind of get introed into all these topics, guys. And unfortunately, we aren't doing a more deep dive into SEO, but I have provided some awesome video courses for you guys to go through that our partners over at HubSpot sent over, which do take you through a very comprehensive, I think it's about 16 hours that you can go through little topic by little topic, and they're chunked out into 20-minute bite-sized pieces. So if you do want to deep dive some more SEO, it's all there and readily available for you. You just have to throw your email address in, and it's a quick and easy sign up for you. But Liz, thank you so much for doing this and giving everybody, an insight into an entire semester's worth of stuff. And definitely, guys, if you have some more detailed questions around this stuff, I'm happy to help where I can. But if it goes a little beyond me, Liz has been kind to share her contact info with you guys and to get in touch with her as well. So Liz, thank you. And if you're looking for more volunteers in the fall, we're always happy to help provide some websites to you. So let us know if you still need some volunteer companies.
That sounds awesome. I will be in touch for sure. And I'll end by making Dave jealous, because if you don't know this, David is a big wakeboarder. So I might just go for a little ski.
I see looking in your background. I was like, "Are you at the cottage right now?" Because
I am. I'm on holidays this week, so I thought you'd enjoy that.
Awesome. Well, I hope you're enjoying yourselves and your kids aren't driving you too crazy.
Yeah. Well, school's over now, so should be okay. Great to meet everyone, and wishing you all the best with your businesses. And you know where to reach me if you need any help at all.
Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you for providing so much value. And everybody give Liz a nice farewell, Leap Junction wave. Enjoy the water. I'm jealous.
Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
All right. How's everybody feeling?
Overwhelmed.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of stuff. Yeah, there's reasons why there's certifications and courses on this stuff, right? It's a big topic, but like Liz said, you don't need to know all of it. It's just good to at least have an idea. Even if you're going to outsource it, you want to still have a general idea of what the person you're hiring is doing, not just trusting you're just dumping your money into something and they'll say, yeah, it'll work in 6 months. So it's a good idea to at least get a general understanding. And definitely, yeah, as time becomes available, take up some of those free resources that are on FOL there for you guys. Does anybody have any question about Liz's presentation or anything else regarding the topics today? No, anything else not related today that you want to bring up to the group?
Well, I was just gonna, it is actually related to today, but I was gonna say, I took the course that she does through a different professor, but as part of my marketing program. And like, I just wanted to say that like a lot of it is just guesswork, even when you take the course. Like you learn sort of how things work on the back end, but in terms of like, what's the best way to do something, or what's the surefire way to get traffic or whatever, like you don't learn that because it doesn't, like she said, every page is different. So even when you have those certifications, a lot of it is just like your gut and your intuition and trying to kind of like look for opportunities that you think might work and test it out. Like it's just sort of an ongoing like learning process.
That's a really good point, Janan. I think a lot of it is just something is better than nothing. So and you need to start somewhere when you have nothing. And, you know, it is a lot of guesswork. You just start with something, oh, okay, maybe I could improve this. And you learn as like the whole process, as you go through it, you'll learn, it'll get better over time, right? So I remember I was on like the Fanshawe College marketing team for the ads platform. And I remember doing all this keyword research, realizing like I would never, ever do this for my own business, like not in a million years. The only reason I did it was because I was forced to do it. It was like the first thing I was like, yeah, we're outsourcing that immediately, because I will not waste my time bothering with any of this. It's just so much easier to pay somebody. So there's no shame in that at all. Like, even if I happen to be good at it, but I don't want to do it. My time is spent better doing other things in my business. Just like, I don't think Steve is going to take time out of his day to go and become the keyword expert at your business, right? So you just got to know what your strengths are and what skill, we're always going to be wanting improving some of our skills as entrepreneurs, but you got to decide what those skills are, right? And just because we're introducing all these things to you doesn't mean you got to be the expert at it. So anyways, any other comments, guys?
I just wanted to let everybody know that in Discord, I'm going to be sending out an invite if anybody is interested in doing a short little, like maybe 20-30-minute interview with me to collect some survey information. And I'm just hoping everybody would be open to that. And then there'll obviously be like a little perk for everybody going forward. So I'm going to plug that into the Discord in about like by end of day today. So I hope everybody's on board for that. That'd be really great.
Awesome. Thanks for letting us know, Tracy. Can I participate?
100% you can.
Okay, cool.
I would love your insight, Dave.
Awesome. Happy to help. Cool. Okay. Well, tomorrow we're having a full takeover tomorrow. We usually, our time tomorrow is going to be with Pillar Nonprofit and Innovation Works, which is Jenny's former employer. But it was usually a time when we were in person, we would go and spend 3 full days just working out of their office. But they're going to just do a 1-day takeover. So their team is going to be leading all our sessions tomorrow around social enterprise, diversity, inclusion. So we're talking a lot around like company culture and kind of that cultural piece of our business, kind of from a lot of different perspectives. So sometimes this discussion can get a little heavy. Just warning everybody, last year it was great discussion, but it can get a little heavy. So just come to the session knowing that we're going to talk on some, maybe a little bit more sensitive things, especially everything that's kind of going a little more going on in the world right now today. So it's usually a great discussion, and if everybody is willing to be a little open, it does go a lot better. But it's gonna be fun to introduce you to that team. So anybody who's looking at adding that, if you ever haven't already, adding a bit of a social enterprise component to your business, some type of give back piece or some type of piece that provide something that's not just monetary value back to you, you're looking to do maybe something a little larger, this is the team that you want to get in touch with and help you kind of flesh out what that might be and what that is. So we're happy to have them tomorrow. And then if you didn't see your email from Kelsey, I think she sent it out yesterday or today. For our Thursday session, there's a little bit of pre-work for the presenter, just some questionnaires to go through, I guess, prior to the workshop on emotional intelligence, or what's called EQ, very key in understanding consumer behavior. So definitely make sure you check out that email and check out those resources to make sure you're fully prepared for Thursday.
Dave, I looked at that email and I thought there was something to download, but I didn't see anything. Like there was a windmill.dat file, but that was all I could see. So I was going to email Kelsey back and ask her, or find out today if there was something else supposed to be attached to the email.
I see 2 Word docs and a PDF.
I have like 5 things attached to it.
Abby, I had the same problem and I emailed Kelsey and then she uploaded them to FOL because I had the same like windmill thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Weird.
Yeah, but now they're just in FOL in like the announcements section too.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Maybe it depends on whatever email client you're using, it might have interpreted a little
It was
different.
my FOL email, but I don't know if it had to do with the attachment size or.
It's probably FOL because it's so garbage and old. It probably isn't able to process the files properly. Because I went on mine and they all opened just fine. That's strange. Yeah, most likely FOL. It's great. Go Fanshawe. And any other questions, guys? No? Awesome. Okay, well, I know a couple of you want to stick around and have a chat, which Jenny and I will be here for the next 20 minutes or so. So definitely, if there's others who haven't expressed they want to hang out, do so. If not, enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you guys all back tomorrow at 1. Farewell, everybody.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah, what's up?
I wanted to say I got the Thank You economy, and I've been reading.